Good morning, Karen. Thank you for your video. So I noticed that you have done research on Georgia. I believe it's Hanover, an agency called Hanover in Georgia. I actually live in Virginia, but I did my research on a an agency in Texas, West Texas Counseling and Guidance. They put up a informed consent in July of 2015. Some comparisons I find it very interesting, and I'm actually very happy about this. That Georgia or Hanover has an explanation of wellness and what wellness means. West Texas didn't really focus on philosophy too much. They mentioned it, but it didn't really focus on the techniques or procedures they were going to be using in counseling. I think it's because it's a group counseling agency. Well, correction, there are a lot of counselors. It's a large agency, and there's a lot of counselors. So I think they left it up to the counselor's discretion to talk about what methods or procedures or techniques they would be using in the counseling session. Um, I also see, because I've written down some notes, I also see that Hanover talks about explanation and explains legally mandated breaches and confidentiality. West Texas Counseling did the same thing. And what I also found to be very interesting is that Hanover talks about the rights of the therapist. I didn't see that mentioned in Texas. I think that's very interesting. I think it's very important too to allow clients to know exactly what is in the right of the counselor, in counselor's right to what actions are in the counselor's right to be taken. Definitely in the event of there being some legal situation or having to terminate treatment. And so having that information up front would probably help that expedite the process or either make the process run a lot more smoothly when it comes to termination of treatment based off of, I don't know, maybe an issue where the client is presenting a harm to the counselor or somebody else. Um, what I do find to be another point of comparison is the role of technology. West Texas Counseling didn't speak about technology either, and this actually segues straight into your question. Um, I find it very interesting. I didn't think about the technology in the sense of how or explaining how video recording was going to take place or any type of audio recording was going to take place for the purpose of maybe supervising or um, having records or storing records. I was only really thinking and focusing on technology being used in regards to social media. And the ACA actually has guidelines. They're not very specific, but it has guidelines on the use of social media and having that disclosure with clients. So I think it's very interesting. Maybe that is, in my opinion, I think it's something that should be mentioned on the informed consent document just to have a written um, documentation of the fact that I have informed my client of the limitations of social media or the uses of social media. The ACA actually mentions in their code of ethics that make sure that you understand or tell the client that the client understands that um, you won't be referring to the social media without their consent, um, and that you won't be exposing any information about them on social media. So that was very interesting, and also talks about having professional presence on social media, but it doesn't really talk about or address friending or anything like that. I would assume, just as I think I was hearing you assume, I would assume too that because of the ACA's regulations, Virginia has the same regulations that you must keep records for up to 5 years after the termination. I think that 5 year threshold of counseling, termination of counseling relationship, I think that 5 year threshold would probably be the point where maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it'll be okay to friend a client. That is something that I will be definitely seeking more guidance on as we go through the program. And once again, thank you again, Karen, for your video.